Greetings duelists and welcome to another video. So the first announcement I'm going to make is there's going to be a shortage of uploads because right now one of my PC display screens is not working and I really don't know why. I tried literally everything to fix it. So for the time being, some content is going to be a little bit limited more than not. However, this is not going to stop me from making videos, especially ones more related to the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, because we're pretty much at a time or a pace in the game where a lot of people are feeling like their grievances on how this format is being performed. As you guys mostly know, I am a very informative channel. I try to keep most of my videos like centered around like stuff in the metagame and teach you how to like deal with the format more than just cope with it. That being said, I am not a fan of banlist videos. If you've seen banlist videos on my channel, you know that I mainly do them after they're released and not as predictions prior to them. However, I do make some exceptions from here and then, and this is another one that I'm going to make. This is a prediction list that I saw from a YouTuber named True King. I will post their channel in the description. So I found this to be like one of the better like banlist predictions out there because it hit a really good amount of cards that are like dodging away from like the biggest issue, but it's like trickling towards like all directions. Like the limits look like justified, the semi-limits look fine as well. There are some disagreements that I do have, and I will give constructive criticism. For those watching this video, please, I implore you to do the same thing. Please be as respectful as you can with these predictions as well, both to me and True King's channel. These videos are mainly made to spark like a good brainstorming session in like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sphere while we wait for this list to come out. So the first thing that True King mentioned is that he expects this list to occur around the first week of August. His main reasoning for that is because we do have YCS Sacramento on the 17th and 18th, which is around the time close to like whenever they want the prediction of the format to occur, and he believes that just having one main event under the other list prior to Worlds is just not going to be enough to like spark the community to just go to that event. So my counter argument to that is we've had past formats where we don't see a ban list until like those events occur. A really good example was last year. We had YCS Brazil and we had it was another North American YCS. I tried to remember which one, but we didn't have the ban list until literally 2 days after like the second YCS, after in the fall season. So I don't think we're going to have a list until after Sacramento. That being said, there are some things to talk about. So in his Forbidden section, he has Skill Drain, Calamity, Appaloosa, Protos, and Sanctifier. I do agree with most of these. I don't think I need to give a very unthorough discussion for most of them. The ones I do want to talk about are Skill Drain and Protos specifically. I'll start with Skill Drain first. So Skill Drain is a really strong floodgate. It is a floodgate that has been winning events left and right. We saw Virtual World winning Spain Nationals. We saw Snake Eye Mirror matches being won like in multiple regions. We saw multiple YCSs like wins and tops because of Skill Drain as well. Skill Drain, like year after year, just has became a card that is easier and easier to play around, and it's just not fun seeing a Floodgate that like just has a merit for even the best deck to play it when they can just dance around like Floodgates as a whole. That being said, I don't think Skill Drain should be forbidden. I think we have more problematic Floodgates in the game that warrants that spot. Like for example, Anti-Spell Fragrance, Rivalry of the Warlords are two like really good examples. I can give a more fringe example that people probably are not even thinking about right now. But like one other really good example is Summon Breaker. Um, but going back to Skill Drain, I think we have more problematic Floodgates than Skill Drain in the game. I think Skill Drain at limited status would be just fine. It will incentivize people to side it. However, it should not be as effective like winning in certain strategies more than not. So the other card I want to talk about is Protoss. So Arch Nemesis Protoss is a hot topic right now. Like a lot of people are just uncomfortable with the card because of its performance at the European WCQ. As if you see my channel, you know that I've been piloting Ritual Beast for a while now. I would be fine if Protoss is gone, if like even as a Ritual Beast player. My perspective is more coming from Konami's perspective of why it got unbanned in the first place. Most times when we see cards like out of the Forbidden section, Konami pretty much has an agenda to reprint them and like give it as part of support for other themes and archetypes. To the time of this recording, Arch Nemesis Protoss has no reprint, and in the OCG it's already confirmed to be reprinted for the next like deck building set to support the Apel Dracosis archetype. So if Konami of the TCG wants to follow that same agenda as the OCG, they'll most likely keep Protoss like for another list until that deck building set is released. And if they see that Protoss is as problematic as like they expected it to be, they'll most likely ban it on another future occasion. Right now, I just think it's way too soon. Like outside of Ritual Beast, we haven't seen like any other meta strategy just doing well at any event because of it. So that's pretty much my stance on Protoss. I'm not disagreeing or like I'm not justifying like its sins. I'm mostly going with the perspective of how objective Konami can be like with this. So for limiteds, we have Snake Eye Ash, Bonfire, Sanguine Summoning, Runic Tip, Spirit or Juvel, Big Welcome Labyrinth, Triple Tap Titans, Heavy Storm, and Meow Meow Mew. So I'm going to address the elephant in the room. I don't think a consistency hit is enough for Snake Eyes at this point. I think Konami is going to try to sway away from that. They're just going to like diminish the power level of the deck. So maybe a heavier hit, like for example, banning original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye or Flamberge Dragon or Poplar is probably more warranted if they really just want Snake Eye to be like a little bit more fair in the format. Just limiting Bonfire and Snake Eye Ash is just dancing around the problem. And looking at this list that he predicted, he did not put Beatrice in here. So just limiting Bonfire and Ash just like gives more perspective on Beatrice being used the same way it was intended in the OCG. As we already saw in the OCG, Wanted and Snake Eye Ash are limited, and Snake Eye Fiendsmith is still the best deck. So if Konami really doesn't want that to be happening, or they just want to give Snake Eyes another shot, but just like make it a lot more fair for people to deal with, then they'll probably do a heavier hit than just Bonfire and Snake Eye Ash. I do agree on the consistency hits on Tenpai and Runic. These are a very different breed when it comes to like the concept and the design of how this deck functions. Tenpai is a very splashable strategy that can just play a lot of non-engine. That's the main reason why Tenpai Dragons are doing so well. If you've seen the OCG, and I'll probably make an OCG deck report video soon, Tenpai Dragons are still doing very well despite the Sanguine Summoning hit. I think another card that should have been on this list that I don't see anywhere, not even on the bottom section, is Pot of Prosperity. I think Pot of Prosperity should have been another card that should have been like on the talking section of this portion, because a lot of people think about Tenpai Dragons and how strong the strategy is and how hard it is to contest against them, but many people have not realized like Prosperity to 3 really just makes the Tenpai strategy just as consistent in the TCG than in the OCG, and that's enough to warrant them like keep being played. Take note, Tenpai Dragon to this day is the second most like successful deck that has topped events in the TCG, right after Snake Eye. So I think the Sanguine Summoning hit was alright. I do think another hit needs to be warranted, and the best one I can think of at the top as of right now is Pot of Prosperity. Spirit of Joel. So, True King's perspective on this is that they think Yubel is just going to overtake the format if you don't address it at any form. I don't disagree on that point, on those points. However, I think Konami just wants Jubel to actually have a dedicated format to itself for at least one or two formats. Like the Battles of Legends terminal release of Phantom of Jubel was very scripted. That was on Konami's big intention. Same way with Moon Closed Heaven being in Infinite Forbidden. I think those were very like needed cards for the Yubel strategy to actually do well in the TCG, just close to the Snake Eye range. So this was in Konami's agenda. They want Yubel to have another format. So despite how problematic that is, I don't think they'll hit Jubel anytime soon. Labyrinth. If you saw my Radio the Abyss video, you already know that I think Labyrinth is a very strong pick for the next format. I think Labyrinth is going to be one of those strategies that is going to adapt to the format the most and just do as well, especially since it's one of the decks that is not as hurt by the Molcharmi monsters as other strategies, while still being able to be a combo deck. Well, mostly a trap deck, but you understand what I mean. That being said, Labyrinth has not done super well as of late, besides the heavy trap version, so this is quite a toss-up. I think if you hit Prosperity and maybe Extravagance, like, you're hurting Labyrinth indirectly. I think Labyrinth is just one of those decks where the more is popular in the format, the more people are going to counter it, and then it'll just fade out of the format again, unless it just becomes a little too strong than the current other strategies. Triple Talents and Heavy Storm, I do like these hits or these limits. I think as someone who loves triple tactic talents, you've seen it in a lot of my main decks, pretty much on like 90% of them. I think this card is overstated its welcome. I think as long as we're in a hand trap like influenced format, this card is just going to be very strong for combo decks, both as a board breaker or as a card that just influences your combos more. So yeah, this card has like 3 forbidden effects on it, so I'm not as opposed to talents getting hit. If you want to make the comparison to Thrust, Thrust is significantly worse than Talents because despite Thrust being able to activate at any point of the turn instead of Talents, Thrust's condition to be used is a little bit more strict than Talents. Uh, I think if you unban Heavy Storm, that's another reason not to hit Labyrinth. I think just have we have will have enough board wipes and enough hand traps to just deal with that strategy. You'll probably see stuff like Bestials and like uh, Ghost Bell just be popular in the format again. If Labyrinth actually does become an issue. So yeah, Meow Meow Mew. So I'm very reluctant on this hit. Plant Kits has not done anything in the TCG since the banning of this card, and it has not done a lot in the OCG. But here's my issue with Plant Kits. Plant Kits is a strategy that is very splashable with a lot of cards. It's a strategy that can play Protos. It's a strategy that can be played with Sprites. It's a strategy that can be played with an Emancipator. It's a strategy that can summon Colossus. Like, if you think of literally everything Prankets can do outside of just its own archetype, this is a very, very, very splashable engine. Or it's a deck that can be abused the same way Ritual Beast is being abused right now. So, like, you can make the argument that Ritual Beast is pretty much modern Prankets at this point. So, if people are unhappy with Ritual Beast, like in the format, I don't think another deck similar to Ritual Beast is going to be like people like on people's like favorite agenda, and Konami knows that very well. So, in order to bring back Meow Meow Mew, they either A, have to shake up the format to a point where they think is comfortable enough for it, or two, they're pretty much just hinting future support for Prankets at this point, and they just want the strategy to just come back to the format. So that's like most of my critiques. Uh, like the Dragon Rulers being semied, he does refer to all the Dragon Rulers, not just title. I think that one is very justified. We haven't seen dragons do so well as of late, at least like outside of Bestials. Call by the Grave, I understand where this is coming from. As long as we're in a hand trap heavy format, I think combo decks are like in a rough spot, at least the more roguish ones. This card was perfect for rogue decks, but I do understand why Konami limited it in the first place. It was just a very strong card to just like deal with opposition. So it's a tough call if they want to make this correct. I think as long as we're in a hand trap format, like I mentioned beforehand, this card is kind of warranted to just come back. But what gravitates into the hand trap format are the very degenerate decks like Snake Eye. So it's actually like it's a double-edged sword at this point. Pancratops and Kirin, those are very smart on limits. Like Magic Specters are not that good of a deck right now, sadly. And Pancratops, like we still have Kashtira Fenrir running around, and that card is a little bit better than Pancratops. So I think another card for going second is not unjustified at this point. Like Sky Striker has everything at full power except for Hornet Drones, which is very like I don't think that card is ever getting unlimited, and it's still not performing. So another card that benefits that deck kind of will be good for them. That's just one example. I'm just mentioning Sky Striker because they did get some support in the Terminal Revenge. But yeah, this has been like my foresight on this banlist prediction. Again, feel free to follow True King. He did make a dedicated series to this. I really found this like discussion very interesting, and I felt like it kind of warranted my thoughts on it. But until then, keep practicing and keep dueling.